documents as authentic. I think they are reflective of the briefing documents that are prepared for the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Um, I mean, the contents are reflective of reality. I mean, is Germany surprised that the United States spies on its friends? I mean, we blew up Nord Stream, so we know we attack our friends, but didn't we also at one point in time listen in on the private cell phone conversations of Angela Merkel? Is the German parliament not aware of the intelligence relationship between the United States and Germany to spy on our own NATO allies? Germany spies on its allies. Germany spies on France. Germany spies on the Netherlands. Germany spies on Poland. Germany spies on them on behalf of the United States. Does Germany not believe that the United States has similar relationships with our NATO allies to spy on Germany as well? As I previously said, we do not have friends. We are friends with no one. We use everybody and we spy on everybody. So I think the fact that this document shows that the United States listens in on the conversations of allies and such only confirms its authenticity because it's a statement of the truth. The United States trusts nobody. We have no friends. We are engaged in duplicitous diplomacy. That's another term for sensitive diplomacy. Diplomacy we don't want the American people to be aware of or the world to be aware of. Diplomacy that has us saying one thing to one ally, another thing to another ally, another thing to the American people. And when you engage in this kind of duplicity, you have an inherent desire to make sure that those whom you are conspiring with are doing that which they have promised. Because when you trust nobody, you assume that nobody trusts you. So the reason why we spy on our ostensible friends and allies is we are monitoring to make sure they are doing that which we have asked them to do, and are making sure that we understand their motives, both for supporting us or if they're not supporting us for going against us. Again, we trust nobody. So when somebody sits down with the United States and extends the hand of friendship and a shake, understand that when the United States shakes your hand in return, we're lying to you. We don't like you. We don't trust you. We will spy on you. Why isn't Germany doing anything about this? I don't know. I mean, I can't find it in my mind to imagine how Germany would suddenly grow a spine when it comes to spying on it when they did nothing when we attacked you. We blew up Nord Stream. When is Germany going to wake up to this fact? Your chancellor was humiliated by Joe Biden in the White House in February of 2021. He was told straight up in front of the public, in front of German media, that if Russia moved into Ukraine, the United States would shut down Nord Stream. And then we did it, and Germany did nothing. So why is Germany not doing anything about America spying on it? Because Germany has no spine. I mean, this is the kind of issue that should put the German people in the streets, demanding that Germany reevaluate not only its relationship with the United States, but with all of Europe, because so long as the United States is linked to Europe, the United States will corrupt Europe. And Germany cannot view any European nation as its true friend as long as that nation has a relationship with the United States that includes using their intelligence services to spy on Germany. Friendship should mean friendship. An alliance should be an alliance. Trust should be trust. The United States doesn't operate that way. Germany knows this, but does nothing about it, which speaks volumes about the status of German sovereignty. What is Germany? Is it a sovereign nation capable of standing on its own 2 feet? Or is it just a post-Cold War manifestation of American colonial reality? A colonial slave to the American master. That's what Germany is. We beat you, we harass you, we treat you poorly, and yet you continue to come back and work for us. That's what a slave does. Russia has been in the business of escalation management from the very beginning. Russia has a goal and objective. That does not include going to war against NATO. Whether NATO decides to go to war against Russia using Ukraine as a proxy is a different question. Russia does not want to go to war against NATO, nor does Russia need to go to war against NATO because Russia is winning the war in Ukraine. That's what counts at the end of the day. The fact is, Russia is winning. Russia will win. And at the end of the day, NATO will be defeated. And Russia doesn't need to change any aspect of what it's doing in Ukraine because that is the guaranteed outcome at this point in time. It doesn't matter how many weapons NATO provides. They all get destroyed. It doesn't matter what kind of intelligence NATO provides Ukraine. Russia still wins. Russia's not going to defeat itself by embracing a policy that results in a direct military conflict between it and NATO. It's a strategy that implies well thought out policy. The United States does not have a well thought out policy with China. We are reacting, pure and simple. We are reacting to that which China does. If we had a strategy towards China, the last thing we would have done is create a provocative situation at the moment when French President Emmanuel Macron was visiting. You see, had we presented a responsible approach towards problem solving, then we may not have driven the French president to speak of the need to decouple Europe from America's policy towards China. So you can't speak of strategic thinking because I have a hard time understanding any strategic stance in Washington, D.C. that begins with the premise, let's alienate France and Europe. See, the United States is trying to get France and Europe involved in a future conflict with China. So if that was our goal and objective, we certainly went about it the wrong way. The United States, again, when we take a look at what's happening, we see statements by members of Congress. We see an action by the Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, and we see statements made by a Republican on the Intelligence Committee. These are not policy makers. They don't make policy. They're simply congressmen trying to create something that they, in their mind at least, raises their political stature in the United States amongst a certain political element in the United States. But they're both Republicans. And the last time I checked, Joe Biden's a Democratic president. So the notion that a Democratic president is going to have his policy dictated to him by two Republican congressmen is absurd. But again, it shows the disjointed nature of America's China policy formulation, where a president has no control over what's going on. The president could have shut this thing down immediately, and he should have. He should have called the Chinese or the Taiwanese president and said, you will not meet with Kevin McCarthy. If you do, I can guarantee you, you will not get one more penny of American support. I can guarantee you the American fleet will turn around and sail in the opposite direction. You either are on board with me or you're done with me. Pick it. That's what Biden could have done. But Biden is not in control of the policy. Therefore, the Taiwanese president came into a power vacuum and went to the centers of gravity that have the greatest measure of attraction right now, which are these rogue Republicans who are trying to look tough. The United States military will not respond to orders given by Kevin McCarthy. The United States military will not respond to orders given by Gallagher of the Intelligence Committee. They respond to orders given by the National Command Authority, the President of the United States, and no one else. But the fact that Biden has allowed these two rogue Republicans to create an environment that has disrupted the strategic position of the United States. We have lost France. We have lost Europe on the issue of China. That's not strategic thinking. That's just amateur tactical fumbling. The posturing by the United States and others that NATO has never been stronger, that NATO has never been more unified, it's just a bald-faced lie. We know that's not the case. We know that NATO is deeply fractured. And one of the areas where they are fractured is France's ongoing concern. Because remember, this isn't a new posture by Emmanuel Macron. He has articulated similar thoughts back in 2017, 2018 during the Trump administration, where he spoke of the need for France to look for the potential of a new European security alliance that focused on Europe's problems and wasn't polluted by the American problems. The conflict in Ukraine had complicated that by, creating the need, or at least the perceived need, of a united NATO front. But now NATO is waking up to the fact that the United States led it into a trap in Ukraine. The United States had no intention of backing Ukraine to the hilt. We simply used Ukraine as a vehicle to bring harm to Russia without any regard to either Ukraine or Europe and the consequences thereof. And so I think there's a lot of clarity right now being developed inside Europe about what NATO is and what NATO isn't. NATO is not a European security alliance. NATO is an adjunct of American national security policy. And as a result, NATO is a weight around Europe's neck, threatening to drown it in a sea of conflict. And the only way for Europe to emerge and escape this is to cut that chain. And I think that's the direction that Europe is heading.